Hi, Stuart Barn here, and this video is about the minor pentatonic scale CAGED shape 1. There are 5 minor pentatonic shapes, or 5 basic ones, and this is the first one. It looks like this. I'll put a link down below in case you don't know it. Most people do learn this shape pretty early on. It's the most common one. Usually, but not always, we use the minor pentatonic scale that is of the same root as the chord you are playing over. There is a little nuance to add to this, but I'll leave it for the future. So what I mean by that is, if we're playing over an A minor, typically you would use the A minor pentatonic. So stage 1 of using this scale is to just improvise, just get an A minor backing. I'm a big advocate of using one chord to get to know a scale or an arpeggio. It's the purest way to do it. Having several different chords in a sequence, if you're just starting out with the scale, can be an unnecessary complication. So for me, I've just got an A minor in my loop pedal, and that will do perfectly. Something like that, or use band in a box, or generate a backing track with something else. Okay, so we should just quickly mention that this is the root note here, A. If you're playing over a B minor, then you would just move the shape along, start it on a B, and that will fit perfectly as well. So, what about bringing a little bit more meaning to this shape? Well, let's talk about root notes. We said there's a root note here. There are 2 other root notes, here and here. So this shape has 3 root notes. Now, if you finish a phrase on one of those root notes, it will tend to sound like a full stop at the end of a sentence. It will sound like you've come to a point of rest. I'll just show this now over this backing. So it was quite a final note. I could end the song like that. Whereas if I finish on one of the other notes, it sounds less like the end. It sounds like there's more to come. It's like a question that needs an answer. So, for your stage 2 of using the scale, memorize where these 3 root notes are, and sometimes deliberately don't finish on the root note. Other times do finish on the root note. That way you will control the rise and fall of the amount of tension in the tune. What about bringing more meaning to this scale? Well, stage 3, I would say, is to imagine the complete chord. Now, if you look at all the notes in this A minor, they're all in the A minor pentatonic scale. They're all in there. Now, how is that useful? Well, if you play one of those chord tones, which is what we'll call them, the notes in the chord, there will be, the overall effect is one of compatibility. The note that you play fits perfectly at ease with the chord. If you play one of the non-chord tones, so this one or this one maybe, they will to some degree clash. Maybe clash is overstating it a little bit, but it is slightly at odds with the chord. When you play these notes, you're adding nothing new to the chord. You are just repeating notes that you're already listening to. When you play this note, you are adding a new note which creates a different overall sound to when you play the chord tones. So this is one step further on from simply knowing where the root notes are. We're now looking at all the chord tones. So again, you can control this rise and fall of tension if you look and deliberately play non-chord tones and then maybe later on resolve it to a chord tone. I'll try and show this again just by emphasizing certain notes. So hopefully you could hear the tension that I was creating with those two notes in particular. And then at the end I chose to resolve it to the root note, which kind of wraps things up. So that is your third stage of looking closer at this scale and how to use it well. If you want to go one stage further, then take a close look at the scale shape in the link that I'm going to put down below, and you'll see that some of these chord tones actually appear elsewhere in the scale as well. So for example, this one also appears here and here. If you can memorize the locations of all the chord tones, well, that would be great. If that's too much for now, don't worry about it, leave it for the future. Finally, if you need some help in how to improvise, do check out the little series of videos I made called How to Improvise on Guitar. In it I talk about several approaches, which hopefully you'll find useful. As always, if you found this video helpful, do please give it a thumbs up and click subscribe so I can send you more of them. See you in the next video.